Tim asked a question in absentia. And this is related to what I've literally been spending my day doing. He asks, and Tricia, you're going to have an opinion on this too.
Uh-oh.
For a local nonprofit business networking group, with no physical location, how would you recommend verifying the listing for Google My Business? An address of one of the members' local business is used for filing an EIN to the IRS. This hurt local business also verifies organization at the same address. So my answer, which may differ from Tricia's answer, probably not, is why do you want a Google My Business listing for a networking group with no physical location? I don't know if that's even necessary. I get that it's a great way to appear in the knowledge graph and really stand out and people search for you, but it's not really what it's for. You don't necessarily have a phone number dedicated to that networking group. Yeah. You would have a duplicate address from an existing business. So then you do get into problems like name, address, phone number duplication. There's two businesses at that one location. And if they have the same phone number, now you could be hurting that business's ability to get name, address, phone number, citation credits in order to promote what is not even really their business, just out of curiosity. And God forbid that business that's the host of this location leaves the organization. So now what are you going to do with it? So maybe the answer is, I don't know if you want to build a Google My Business listing. In the process for Google My Business, or what I call local listings, I do say this isn't for every business. So Curious Ants, for example, although it's technically based in my same location as Reliable Acorn, I don't have a Google My Business listing for it because it's a purely online business. And so I made the option to not. And that kind of gets into what I've been doing the rest of the day. But maybe Tricia wants to weigh in on this.
Yeah. So I would agree. I have not seen and not had this question about networking groups because one of the things is, I think, did you say he said that they are incorporated?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be the start to it, is that they actually have an incorporation and everything. And that, as far as being a networking group, if it's allowed to have a Google My Business, I'm not 100% sure. I do actually want to ask that question with of some people, so to follow up with that. So I will follow up on that. But like you said, some businesses, e-commerce is not made for Google My Business. So it's really geared towards local, which a networking group would be local. As far as the address, so he said they were using the same address as another person's business. Remind me, did he say they're hiding the address or they're showing the address?
He did not say either one. He just said the address of one of the members' local businesses was used to file for the EIN with the IRS.
Okay, yeah. So okay, and so it sounds like, when for some reason I was thinking it was a home address, but it does sound like it's a physical business address. So the one thing is if they do not have actually a physical presence there, like where they answer the phone there, they have office hours there, they need to hide their address on Google My Business. That's a good way to get your account suspended, is if you have show your physical location, but you don't have signage outside. You don't see people can't just walk in and ask for you. And I doubt that they do, being a networking group. So I would say hide the address. And the other part, that shouldn't be that much of a problem if you hide the address. But as far as, I'm not sure that they really, if they need a Google My Business, if it's something that is really appropriate for them. So,
yeah, I wonder if this is solving a bigger problem of, hey, how can people find our networking group? And the answer is probably not Google My Business.
Yeah.
The answer is probably you need a website
Yeah.
And if you can't afford a WordPress website, well, okay, do a Squarespace one. We don't really like Squarespace websites, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if all you need is a presence, I belong to a networking group that had a Weebly website. You think Squarespace is bad?
Oh, I've
Weebly's
seen
worse.
I've
And-
seen
Oh yeah, it's terrible. But
Mm.
guess what? They're the
It's-
only, if you search for their group, they find it. That's it,
Yeah.
right? The other
Yeah.
thing I would think about is it's kind of related to reputation management. It's the idea that stacking the deck of the search engine results with things about this space.
Mhm.
So, for instance, creating a Twitter account, creating a LinkedIn
Yeah.
group or page,
All the social
Um,
media. Yeah.
so that when someone searches for the name of this networking group, there's more things for Google to serve up
Mhm.
than just the website. And that will fill out. For instance, Twitter's are great for this. Twitter, if Google shows the Twitter cards of all your recent tweets, you're going to really stand out, right?
Yeah.
And so this kind of gets into the question of what I've been playing with all day, which is the idea of, can you appear in the knowledge graph when you don't have a physical address, like Curious Ants or an e-commerce business? Can you appear in the right sidebar of a search result? That's called the knowledge graph, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
So you
and
can.
now usually you say that again.
I'm sorry, you can, but what were you
Yeah.
gonna say?
So now when you're saying that, are you talking about when you're searching by name? Yes. Oh yeah, because so I am not I'm a service area business without address shown. And you type in your biz watchdog and I come up in the knowledge panel.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's say Curious Ants or Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's an extreme exception, right?
Well, they're different knowledge panels. So
right.
okay.
But
And I don't
I'm-
you might know more what they're called than I do, but
Yeah.
well, my business knowledge panels, then there are others for other like big corporations and other things as well.
Yeah, I have a client that's a really big, purely online business, and like they have a Google My Business listing, but that's not even what shows up when you Google their branding, because it's not even relevant.
Mhm.
I mean, they do have an office, and you can go in. It's under security, but you can technically get in there, but that's not really what they want people to do. They don't really want people to come in.
Mhm.
Point is that when you do a Google search, it shows their company, lists all their social media profiles, and it's more predominant.
Yeah.
And I've been playing with the idea of how do you do that. Number one way to do it is Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
That's
But
tough because
If
you
you
have to
can
justify.
get one, right?
What's that?
If you can get one, are they hard to like?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right. Wikipedia page, you really have to justify. You have to really prove that you deserve one.
Mhm.
So that's a challenge, and even large established companies have hard times justifying it,
Mhm.
let alone like little old Curious Ants. But there are other things Google uses to populate data, and I've been playing with a couple of them this morning. Wikipedia is tough, but Wiki Data, what's it called? Oh yeah, Wiki Data is another source. You can it's not a page, it's data. So you can create entities and say this entity is a kind of like a person, and this person has a gender, and this person has a family name, and this person was born in a certain place. And so you're just kind of filling out data about an entity.
Mhm.
And it all kind of pulls. So I'm playing with this. There's other sources like Crunchbase is a great source for this, especially if it's a business. It doesn't have a location or is a virtual business. There's other websites that Google will pull data from and consolidate. And once you have enough, a kind of a critical mass, Google will add you in the knowledge panel.
Mhm.
Also,
Yeah.
schema, like website schema, an organization schema is very important for that purpose as well. So making sure your website, your homepage especially, has the information about your corporation, your company, will help that. So this might help Tim too, because maybe he doesn't need to Google My Business. Maybe they need a website. Maybe they need a couple social media profiles. Maybe they need to make sure on their website, whether they use WordPress or not, they have organization to website schema to tell Google. Now,
Yeah.
just because you have that doesn't mean you're going to get it, because
Yeah.
you have to hit a critical mass, and Google won't tell you where that critical mass is, but that's the starting point.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about while we were talking here was that Google does allow certain things like events to have a Google My Business, but only in certain instances. Like if it's like a specific thing, like let's say a yearly or a monthly thing, and it's been around for a while. So it can't be like, oh, this is the first annual XYZ event. It's got to be a couple years old and constant at the same location. So based on that, I'm wondering, I'm going to follow up and do a little research because I'm interested in most networking groups, don't really incorporate and or maybe they do, but they don't really think about doing a Google My Business. So it hasn't come up as a question before. So I'll check and see what I can find on it.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.